what is the goal in life for us here in the West? It's like, what is the desire to actually like go forth and prosper, or to not at all? It's like, what are our parents teaching these children to want? Or alternatively, you could ask, what is it that these children see that they want, that they see other people doing to try and chase after their own goals, whatever they may be?
Oh no. If it's like if the question is like what are the children seeing, it's whatever they have access to. I was actually talking to Cookie the other day about mimetic theory. Are you familiar with it at all?
Not a clue. I've heard of mimetic before, but I don't hear it often.
I got you. It's like we're not doing anything right now. Mimetic theory posits that mimetic desire leads to natural rivalry and eventually to scapegoating. So it's like, I guess the example of like mimetic theory, well, mimetic desire is like you could see. Let's say that you're a person that's born into the world and you don't have anybody really guiding where it is that the direction you go into. It's more or less up to you, right? Mimetic desire more or less comes into play when like it's you would see what someone else already desires. It's like mimetic behavior, mimetic desire. The mimetic theory, I'll get to the theory in a second, but like mimetic desire, you see how Google's accent is like, is mimetic desire real? Yes, it's very real. Whenever it's basically like if I see something, it's the same thing like with the cool kids at school. It's mimetic desire. If you have no real direction and you see something else that someone else desires, and you see that they desire that thing, it's like you may begin to desire that thing as well. Or it's like if that's the thing to do, what they're striving for, if that is the thing to do in your area, you may strive to do the same thing. They say children are so impressionable. What are they actually talking about? It's the things that they see.
Right. Like you can tell a child something, but do something else entirely. They will see what you do and go off that more easily.
Mimetic desire, making your choices according to the desires of others. Have you ever heard of a parent that lives vicariously through their child?
Yeah.
This is a little different. It's like a parent living vicariously through their child is like they're trying to live out their dreams through the next spawn on because they didn't make it. Mimetic desire, it would be almost the reverse. If the child or a child, not necessarily the child of a parent, but a child of the community, it was like if they see what another person, a grown folk, someone who's been there much longer than them, that they look up to, something that they desire, they may desire to try and be like that person. They may try to desire to emulate it.
Now, where are you going with on this theory?
You were talking about like children, like what children come in contact with, what it is that they come in contact with, and like the what it is that they experience. What they experience is whatever they have access to, and a lot of children have access to the internet. And if mimetic theory has anything to do with it, whatever it is that they're seeing, and you see how wild social media is. It's like it thrives off of showing the exception to the exception. It thrives off of showing the most extreme, the most outlandish to get the most clicks. Similar to how mainstream media works. It's the nature of the beast. Through the pursuit of money, it's like we need to find something that people will flock to, something wild, something outlandish, right? Now, if children have access to these same outlets and mimetic theory has any grounds to stand on, some of that stuff could be impressionable to those children, especially if they don't have anyone there to filter out what it is that they're seeing.
And there we bring up the whole part about parents giving up their children to be raised by both the internet and the public schools, and not really taking the time to actually parent themselves.
I think this is where like a lot of the end result that we have today has come from. It's like people are questioning mimetic theory, mimetic desire, and it's really if I broke, it's like if you really wanted to break it down, you could make mimetic theory, mimetic law in a split second. It's like what do it's like okay, to be completely honest, do you think that there is an inherent desire inside a human being to want to destroy, to want to utterly destroy something that looks just like it?
Only if it's uncanny.
Hmm?
Only if it's uncanny.
What do you mean?
I'm thinking of alternatives right now.
Oh, the alternates?
Yeah, I'm thinking
That's
literally. It's
fun.
like
That's
if there's
funny.
something. No, if it's something that looks exactly like me, I would feel the innate desire to either run away or kill it.
I can't remember what that channel's name was, but the alternate that
It's
stuff
the
with the
first
alternates was
one.
funny.
No, no,
What?
no.
Hmm?
Keep typing alternative. It was the first pop up.
Oh, the Mandela catalog. Yeah. No, that's
But no, back rolling it back some. Hold on.
no. Wait, but let me
Before
wait. Let me finish setting it up though. Do you believe that there is a inherent desire in a child to want to kill another child?
I don't think the inherent desire is that they kill, but that they don't understand what killing is and therefore don't know when to stop.
I call bull. Now, I'm not saying that like every child knows the weight that comes with killing, but the example that I'm talking about is like if I think you could push mimetic theory to mimetic law in a heartbeat if you wanted to break down the age of the participants in gang violence. It's like what is it that this child has seen that has led it to desire a life in the streets where part of said life is taking the life of others, in particular others that look very similar to it?
And off the cuff, I would say the people that are around that child, the ones that the child look up to.
And I don't think that they've necessarily taught this child this
No,
because all
they
the
acted it out.
exactly all these children, in fact, these what it's like more often than not what they are told is that you don't want to be a part of this. Is like don't do what I'm doing. The saying that I keep hearing tossed around all the time is don't is like do as
So
I
I
say, not
say,
as I do. You could bump mimetic theory up to mimetic law in a heartbeat.
and it doesn't even have to be that aggressive either. You could just see the hypocrisy that comes from smoking parents who tell their child, it's like smoking in the house, telling their child, "You don't want to keep doing
It's
this.
like
This is
smoking is
destroying
bad.
me.
He's like, do as
This is
I
giving me cancer
say.
right now."
He's like, do as I
Like
say,
there's another
not as I
tumor right
do.
there.
He's like, you're coughing up a lung right now.
Right. Yeah. The conditioned hypocrisy. Rolling it back real quick. I do recall what it is that I asked that got us onto this mimetic theory in the first place. I had
What?
asked the questions like, what is the collective desire in the West right now? And we
Mm.
had gotten onto that mimetic theory about what these children actually see.
Well, I mean,
It's like,
anytime that you've seen a community come together behind any combined front,
George Floyd.
George Floyd. I was gonna bring up the flood in 2016 that happened in the South.
That's a good example.
It's like anytime you see them come together, it's like you kind of have an idea. You can kind of see the goal for the time right there in that moment. Like
Right.
when the war on
There was a,
terror broke out with 9/11, you know, never forget this, that, and the third.
yeah, there was a clear issue and a clear solution.
Varying scales of community. But to talk about the US as a whole, what has its overall goal been? Outside of the cliche things that they say, what pursuit of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, something like that.
Right. Right.
The American dream, whatever have you. And I think people really take that about as a what's the word? What's the word? Is it
Seriously.
like passe? What is it?
Blase.
It's like they take it as lightly as they take the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like it kind of just became a thing that you said, and then it became whether like you stood up for it or not. And it's like you knew the words and you knew what you were saying, but it's like as far as it having like any type of like real grasp and meaning with you when it was said or when it was heard, yeah, it was kind of like just eh.
Real quick.
It's
BLASE.
unimpressed or indifferent to something because one has experienced or seen it so often before. Yeah,
That's not it.
it's like,
That's
but
not
it's
quite
like,
it.
but experienced it or seen it so often before. So I mean, it's as far as me talking about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stop saying that around high school.
But it's like it's not really the word of what I'm looking for as far as
No.
trying to figure out like the goal of the U.S. as a collective. It's like I don't. What's it's like maybe if war were declared, it's like they kind of have one, so they band together. But in a day of peace, I couldn't really tell you.
There may be the I'm not sure if you could call that a symptom or a cause. Something in between. It's like the hmm, well, moving past that then. Maybe that's moving on into like the difference between looking at a forest and looking at a tree.
Mm,
It's like seeing an entire canvas instead of looking at a small section on the painting that you need to work on. That might be, or looking at the whole ship that's burning and not looking at your one spot where there's a hole in the wall.
mm.
It's like that may be something that is too big to really like fix on a single person scale.
What?
It's like the desire of an entire country, especially in the West, is not something that's very easily done, especially whenever the West has the saying. It's like the pursuit of happiness, your desires, what have you. It's very, in another way, you could say, is like, do what you want. Just don't get in anybody else's way, anybody else's happiness. It's like, you could put it that way. And by that point, you just kind of go like, look around, it's like, well, what do I want? What has my community been doing? Okay, so this side of my community, the older side at least, are all getting married, having kids, getting angry for some reason, and there's a divorce involved. All right, that sounds like fun. I'm gonna deal with that later on in life. Then you got another side of the country where there's nothing but gang violence going on. It's talking about like you got one side of the community, the
It's
children
talking
growing
about
up in a
growing up, having marriage, like the marriage, divorce, children, this that, and the third, da, 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 da. Then you have another group where it's like thriving in gang violence.
and the kids growing up in that would be like, well, this is what everyone else around me is doing. It's like I got to get that rap sheet, otherwise I'm not gonna make it in life.
See, and that's why I brought up mimetic theory. That's why I brought up mimetic desire. It's
And it
like,
makes sense if you boil it down to what's going on around a child growing up. It's like they follow the people that they admire or the ones that they are closest to.